Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Graham and I am the book daddy of YouTube. We have read another book, our first book of April for the April showers, and that is Crying in Mart by Michelle Zauner. I believe is how you say her last name. This is the first read of April, and what we're going to do today is a little bit different than what you're used to. For the past 4 months, I've been doing book reviews here on the channel. That's how I started, was just by doing a book review a week, and I feel that my reviews haven't been the best. I talk a lot, I mumble. The first few, I literally just told you the entire plots, thinking I wasn't spoiling anything, and it was just a recap of what happened, which doesn't really give you as a listener if this book is good or not. It just tells you that I read this story and I am recapping it to you. So I wanted to do something else. I wanted to make 4 separate sections with a percentage of how I rate this book, and then we're going to give you an average of all those percentages at the end. So the 4 categories are submersion, which is stories and feelings of how submersed am I into this story? Do I want to continue forward? Pretty much is what that is. So story is the first one, or submersion is the first one. The second one is heart. Heart is the feelings that you get while reading this book. Do you feel powerful? Do you feel sad? Do you feel happy? If there's strong emotion going on, I'm going to rate it off of that. I like feeling different while I read. Third is interest. Interest is how I am continuing forward with the story. Good example is Grapes of Wrath. It's kind of boring as you read it, and so my interest level goes down. So is this able to stick through? Is the writing and the creativity really good to keep me going and want to devour the pages? And then last one will be takeaway, the lesson I learned through it. And so we have submersion, heart, interest, takeaway. All will be percentage 1 through 100, and then we'll give you the average. So that's how we're going to do reviews on the channel from now on, and we're starting here with Crying with Mart. And also, since this April showers, you're going to have a tier level over here of moments that made me cry. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's jump into Crying in Mart by Michelle Zauner. So submersion, how was the story? Well, this book is about Michelle losing her mom to cancer. Very sad off the get-go. It's a memoir for Michelle about her mom and about her relationship with her mother. And what was really awesome about this was it starts off addressing Crying in Mart, how she traveled through the store and was reminded of her Korean mother. The difference in this story is it's not just a stereotypical child mom. She was raised in a different type of household. She's half Korean and she's half white. So her mom was full Korean and her dad was white. And she talks about that experience of growing up in Eugene, Oregon. And so it was very fascinating of being able to understand a relationship with her mother involving food. That's why you see noodles on the front of the book. There is food. And then also her dad and how he was raised as well. You learn a lot about the family and what that relationship really entails. And it was great. It was really good of being able to explain every asset of her childhood. What I really liked about this was you can tell there was a lot of retrospective in writing this book of her childhood to her rebellious years as a teenager to being an adult to going through the cancer part and then the effects of her life afterwards. You travel through all of those stages, and it's a great story. It's well written. Michelle did a great job writing everything to teach me of Korean culture. I'm not someone who understands Korean culture a lot. I have a friend who is half Korean. That's the extent of my Korean culture. I know there's one word, chingo, means friend. That's it. That's all I have. When it comes to food, I don't have the best knowledge of it. I like Korean food. I just don't have the vast knowledge of what it is. And so since this book evolved a lot about food, it made me hungry at times as well. She did a really good job explaining the process of it so that she could be able to have a payoff in chapters, like a meaning behind that. Like pickling kimchi was a great payoff of talking about how we're bottled up emotionally and how we grow and how it's preserved. Like there were these photos that were found that were preserved for a future time capsule to be enjoyed fully after she passed. And it was like, dang, that was crazy. So as far as submersion goes, I give this book an 85%. Really good. Not a full 100. There were parts that felt a little long at times. The story writing, of course, was really good. Again, there's a lot of talks about food, and I felt because I knew what the story was going to be, there were some chapters that just didn't pay off all the way. Next up, we have heart. Heart is the feelings that we get, and this book does make you feel things. It made me cry a couple times. I shedded a few tears. The part that made me cry the first time was when she first finds out about her mom having cancer, and gets a phone call, and she's in New York City for just a gig, and her boyfriend is in Philadelphia. He's like, do you need me to come up there with you? And she said, no, I'll be fine. I'll just come down afterwards, because the news was so startling. She wanted to go see her mom. And the boyfriend, Peter, drove up there after work. He got off work, and so at 2 a.m. makes it up to New York City, and they just cry together. And it's a couple things. It was the sadness of the mom, but also Peter, that dude, just had a lot of love for his girlfriend and drove all the way up there for her. And it was really, really like a good little love story, and I really enjoyed that. That made me tear up in a way, because, you know, I've been in circumstances with that with my wife, not like with death too much, but just with serious things, and just having us be able to be that person there means the world. The other part that really made me feel emotion was the entirety of the story. Like, it's a sad process, and made me have feelings about my family. And as I mentioned, I have a friend who's half Korean. We were really good friends in high school, best friends actually, and so it just made me think about them a lot. And so I was getting a lot of like happy emotions and curious emotions of like, I don't really know their life circumstance. They were divorced while they were like, Michelle was not. So I didn't really get to see her Korean side of her mom, but I heard stories about it. And so it was reminding me of those small stories I heard of them going to Korea. Sorry, I totally just hit that. Being able to see her family and the different things they would do. So it was really cool. It made me feel those happy emotions too. And last but not least, the final part with her giving everything to her mother during the cancer treatment, and then the final passing was just, it was good. It shed a few tears. So as far as tear levels, I only shed like 3 tears. It didn't really make me sob. And maybe it's because I haven't lost a family member to that predicament. I don't know why. It didn't make me like ugly cry. So we only got a little bit of the way up. And because of that, heart, it's 95%. The feelings were good, but not quite sobbing, like breaking down tears. Now we have interest. Interest is pacing and how I continue with the story. And it was good. The pacing was really, really well. Something I just looked forward to was how she told her stories, and the payoff of every single chapter was, hey, you're learning about this new thing that almost doesn't make sense, but you know it's going to be brought back in by the end. So I really liked it. I love the journey of everything, how it was explained, of retrospect and everything. And so there's a lot of good interest in finishing this story and seeing how it played out and seeing more about Michelle. Like, we learned a lot about the mom, and then the last few chapters was about Michelle, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I devoured those last few chapters a lot, because the buildup of finding out what type of person this is, like in an intimate level, like this emotional, intimate level, was really cool to be able to be like, oh man, I'm rooting for your success at the end. So interest was 91%. Last but not least, takeaway. This is the highest score of all 4 categories, because this book definitely makes you think about your family and your relationship with your parents. I was thinking about it the entire time. Do I need to call my mom more? Yes. Do I need to hang out with my dad more? Yes. Do I need to do more? Absolutely. I think we all could do a little bit more for our parents. If you have a wonderful relationship with your parents, that's awesome. I have an okay relationship with my parents. We talk, but we're not like the closest. We don't hang out every single day. Well, I don't think any of us do, but we don't hang out as much as we should. So yeah, this made me think a lot about that before it's too late, and being able to think about those happy moments. We always kind of get caught up in, I need to be a little bit different, or this is what I learned, because we evolve like that. That's how I kind of operate as a parent now. Like, oh, what did my parents do? What I did like, what I did not like. And I want to be able to remember some more happy thoughts and be able to try to reignite those with my family. And so that was a huge takeaway before it's too late, before you gain that sadness in retrospect, and how much family actually means to you. No matter how far apart you get, there'll be something that happens that will connect you, and you might as well just make sure you're connected already before you aren't able to have too many more memories with them. That was a huge takeaway for this book for me. Made me really think about that stuff. And also, I need to learn some food from my family. We don't have any cool foods, I guess you could say, but my dad's Pennsylvania Dutch and loves cooking Pennsylvania Dutch stuff. And so I need to learn some recipes, because the way she was talking about her mom's recipes and making comfort food for her, I was like, man, I need to learn a few recipes from my father so I could be able to have a little bit of our heritage, I guess you could say. I really enjoyed the takeaway from the book and the emotions felt and everything. And the takeaway is 100% all the way. And so if we go again through Submersion at 85, Heart at 95, Interest at 91, and takeaway at 100%, well, that makes our average 92.75%. So this book is really good. It's in the 92%, which is an A in school if you go that way. This is definitely a 4.5-ish area for stars. So highly recommend this book. It was great. I understand why it was so popular in 2022. And so go give it a shot. It's an easy read. It's only 230 something pages. And so it's not that long, and It was good. It was a lot of fun. Go read Crying H Mart. Go to H Mart and cry. Michelle Zauner is in a band called Japanese Breakfast, and it's really cool because you get to learn about the album art and her first album, and it made me kind of more excited to listen to the band. And then I was like, wow, this band's really good, so now I have a band I want to listen to. So go do that. Read this book and enjoy the memoir. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and as always, toodles.